Hello and welcome to Live from Stubbs, live at the Gemalto Lounge here at South by Southwest Interactive.
Yep, we actually have people behind us.
We have people behind us, you can hear it. We're Ustreaming.
Yep.
We're having fun. We're here with Adam Dolby. He is the director of ebanking at Gemalto. And I think the reason we immediately knew that we liked him, in addition to the fact that he was so handsome, was the fact that he's a Massachusetts boy.
Exactly.
Like Kyle and myself, yeah.
Yep.
So we have Kyle Flaherty from Breaking Point Systems, Aaron Strout, WCG. And we are going to talk a little bit about security and e-banking, something you think a little bit about. So I'm going to ask a simple question, because this is one of those things that I sort of have a feeling is an old wives' tale. Maybe it's true. Is it really that unsafe if I'm at a Starbucks riding on Wi-Fi, if I want to jump on my Bank of America to be doing my e-banking then?
Well, I don't think there's inherently anything insecure about being at Starbucks per se. But certainly there's vulnerability anytime you're moving around, right? So the fact that you have most of the population that's pretty mobile at this point, really there's not a lot of security that's been applied to protect that mobility. So we're still doing business the way we were doing it really at the advent of the internet. And what has to happen is a bit more awareness, a bit more information on the part of the consumer so that they understand that there are some threats that emerge once you take and go outside the walls of your house or off your typical beaten path.
So let's take that a little further. All right, so what are some of the things that consumers, just Joe, six-pack who's at Starbucks or wherever, is doing on a local Wi-Fi or doing something like that, what should they be concerned about, or what are some of the things that they should implement to protect themselves?
Yeah, I think that's an important point. There are certain things consumers can do to protect themselves. Most don't. So certainly, I'm also guilty of that myself, where you have typical scenario, one password for every account you possibly have because you have so many.
See, I thought that was safe because if you had one, then
Exactly.
no one could ever discover that one password.
Just write them down all in a post-it.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And my view is if a Post-it note can compromise your security, probably not quite good enough. Or even a glass of water dissolves your Post-it note, your hose.
Yeah.
But from that standpoint, if you can make your passwords a bit more complex, meaning less easy for someone to guess with characters and all that other stuff, or in practical terms, more easy for you to forget, which creates a problem. Certainly what Gemalto does is we provide security solutions that make it so you can actually be less severe about how complex your password is while having improved security at the same time. So you can use a second component that generates your password for you and makes logging in that much easier because you don't have to remember anything, you just have to have something in your hand.
Right.
See, I always do a combination of my birthday and like my pet's name because I feel like no one knows those, right? So that's an easy one to put down as my security.
I think that's a fantastic method.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. That's a fantastic method unless somebody knows your Facebook account, and then
Yes.
you're in trouble.
So we talked to one of your colleagues, Philippe Benitez, earlier. We talked a little bit about biometrics. Is biometrics going to play, I would imagine, yes, more of a role in e-banking in the future?
I think it will. I think what you'll see in terms of security used at banks and anywhere else that matter is there'll be a blend of solutions. It will never be one size fits all, but it'll be in some places a biometric, in some places you'll have a device you use or plug in other cases maybe you have your own web browser on a stick that you plug into a machine. All kinds of different solutions build in better security overall as well because from a hacker's perspective, they don't know what you have and how to attack it. So the diversity of solutions that will continue to be in this space adds more security to the overall network in general.
So we're putting all of this on the consumer right now. So let's now go to the banks, to the infrastructure players, to all of those folks. How much responsibility should they have, for example, a bank forcing you to have two-factor authentication or a better password or what?
Now that's really where it has to start, right? Because you're using the bank system to access your account. You have to have financial institutions that take a progressive push towards requiring consumers to do that. In many cases, they also need to educate them on why. It's not simply a matter of take this because I said so, but take this because here's what can happen if you don't. And that's really the piece that's continuing to evolve. I think banks are going in that direction, not fast enough, I think, for anybody's preference, but I certainly think it's going in that right direction. They need to continue that momentum. There's certainly more awareness on the part of the consumer. I think we've seen, certainly at an event like this, where you have a very savvy base of users that expect more security, and as more and more people are in that banking environment, right? It's, the old folks continue to move on, whereas you have a new demographic that's familiar with the internet. Those people expect and need security.
Do they need, or are they expecting security, or are they expecting privacy, or both?
I think both, right? Okay. So certainly you can have improved privacy. The banks will safeguard that, but you can, sort of be assured that having some sort of other solution, whether it's a biometric or a device or what have you, that also ensures that you have your privacy, right? So even where you see now that banks won't put a lot of information behind their internet banking platform because they're afraid somebody will get in, you can in fact push more of it there if you know the security in front of it is better. So you would see, in fact, new services that traditionally you have to go into a bank for, signing loan documents or those things, you would be able to actually push it to the internet and use security to enable new services.
So I'm going to take this in a little bit of a different direction, but we're at South by Southwest, and social is a big thing. There's a lot of talk now of what we'll call social commerce, the idea of being able to buy right in a Facebook or a Twitter or one of these other networks.
Yep.
What kind of security risks does that pose? Is the onus on the social network there? Is it on the connectivity to the back end with the e-banking? Or?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above, right? So I like that idea. I think it's good from a convenience perspective. What it does is it makes your Facebook or your LinkedIn or whatever other credential you have more appealing to be attacked. Right now, you don't see a lot of people. I mean, sure, you'll have your Facebook account hacked, and they may mess around with it or use it to send out fake emails to people, but not real value behind it for an attacker. So it's not done en masse. If you start making it so that you can do purchasing or view your bank account information, that makes your credential pretty valuable to someone, and it becomes the weak point for entry into your account. So it becomes very important that if you're going to do that, that when you make that move, and the move seems to be a bit of inevitable, I would say at this point, that you have to have proper security in front of that. You can't do one without the other. And learn from some of the mistakes that have been made in internet banking so far. We rush to push services out to the customer with no security or relatively no security behind it. Learn from that mistake and apply it when you're educating the consumer how to use it in the first place.
We talked a little bit about, we're here obviously South by Southwest. You guys have this lounge here. I kind of asked Philippe the same type of question, but why be here now with the presence that you guys have? Like, why, are you seeing security kind of come to the forefront of people's minds at this point?
I think we see that. Gemalto certainly views it a bit as our responsibility to take that step in educating. So we're certainly a strong advocate and evangelize that security message. Certainly it's our business, but we certainly, again, we view it as our responsibility. So if you're going to promote security products, you should be educating people as to why they need them in the first place.
Any big sessions that you're looking forward to, or?
No, I think the cocktail session would be good here in a little bit. But for me, I think certainly
about 30 seconds.
Whatever the hand signal meant. Yeah, exactly. But no, I think this is my first South by experience, so I'm trying to take it all in. It's a lot.
Right.
Once I finally got out of the registration line this morning, it was good to see what's really going on.
Yeah, so, one last question, I think, and we're about to wrap up, and I'm going to put you on the hot seat a little bit.
Sure.
If you're going to leave, with one thing to tell the audience to do to protect themselves better, security-wise, online, what would it be?
I think if I were going to recommend one component, it's to start to demand security. Consumers in general need to push for and tell their financial institutions or any other business that they're interacting with that they expect a secure interface. It really, we can't accept the status quo at this point anymore. There's too many compromises, too many breaches, and at some point it has to be sort of an occupy the internet type of mentality, right? Where you have people that are really, again, being aggressive about the need for security in front of those applications.
I think that's the first we've heard that, occupy the internet. I like it.
So, all right, well, you heard it here first. Yeah,
All
that's
right.
great.
So we have Adam Dolby, who is Director of eBanking, not to be confused with the Executive Vice President of eBanking
exactly.
at Gemalto. Thank you, Adam.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year. Aaron Strout, Kyle Flaherty. And that concludes our episode of Live from Stubbs, live from Gemalto's Lounge at South by Southwest. Hi, I'm Aaron Strout. We are live at the Gemalto Lounge at South by Southwest, and we are live from Stubbs. I have Kyle Flaherty, Breaking Point. We are coming back again with Adam Dolby, our man from the western part of Massachusetts.
The 413?
The 413.
In the
There you go.
413.
Yes.
Only a few people understand that.
That's right.
Director of eBanking at Gemalto.
And all the best rap songs.
Exactly. So, this is apropos. Our first session was a little more serious. We talked about e-banking. We're going to talk a little more about the thing that is what makes Austin, Austin, that makes South by Southwest, the fun that it is, and that's barbecue and music. I think before we do that, we're going to give you a second opportunity to say, now regarding those panels that you're really interested in going to, I think that you guys may have a panel that
Yes, in fact,
you're
there is
participating in.
a very interesting panel tomorrow that will be on mobile payments that I had in my agenda, and I completely was too nervous and forgot to mention it before, so I wanted to at least let everyone know.
I think it's tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, yes. All my listeners that we will be there.
We can see the nervousness in your eyes, so we
Yes.
appreciate you fessing up to that. So let's start off by talking a little bit. I loved your answer when we were prepping. You do live in Western Mass, right? So not known for its barbecue, but I think you look forward to coming down here because we said, where's your favorite barbecue place down in Austin? And you said?
Really the one I'm closest to
That's
at
right.
the moment, yes.
So what have you found in terms of, at least for me when I moved down from Boston, I hadn't eaten a lot of brisket in my life.
Yep.
What's kind of been the surprises when it comes to barbecue?
So brisket is pretty close to perfect, really for me anyway, and the bigger the better on my plate.
Yeah.
The other,
like the moist, extra moist?
as moist as it can be. There can be only one, right?
Okay.
It's like Highlander.
For Adam, they had him at brisket.
yeah, that's exactly right. And the other one is beef ribs that I fell in love with. That's yeah, that's my jam.
Huh, all right. Fair enough.
Hard to find in the 413.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Never even
Are there any places up there that you do get barbecue? I know there's some places around Boston.
Only
that are
on
decent.
my grill. That's about it.
So do you smoke at home? Do you do
You're talking about
serious-
cooking?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, certainly. We haven't gotten a smoker yet, but we definitely do quite a bit of grilling. I'm the grill master in the summer. That's all we do.
We appreciate that you're calling it grilling too, because there are a lot of people that don't necessarily know the difference and say they're barbecuing up north
Yeah,
when
I've
they're
heard
really
of that
grilling.
term. I'm not a fan.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So let's shift a little bit to the music piece, right?
Sure.
So we've got the barbecue, we've got the live music city, or the city of live music, right? Or
Live music capital.
that one. I'm sorry. I'm
Austin
not.
Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah,
No.
not good with the words. We are not live
Yeah.
from Stubbs. Who are you listening to these days?
I'm a little bit old school, so I still listen to Van Halen on my iPod.
Well, that's new school now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, what's
true.
old is new.
I don't know as if I would grab anything new,
Yeah.
just for fear that I would have the image of them with a walker or something at
Are
that
you
time.
gonna go see them when they come on tour?
I probably won't. No, I think that might
You
be a
don't
little
wanna
too
ruin that
depressing.
perception?
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. I still, I'm a big Dave Matthews fan from back in the day. I like Jason Mraz, so
Yeah.
all those, anything like
That's
that.
a
I like.
bit of a different mix
Yeah,
there.
Van
Jason
Halen.
Yeah,
Mraz,
yeah, I
right?
am.
Dave Matthews.
It's an
Van Halen.
eclectic mix.
Yeah,
we'll call it.
good eclectic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
speaking of that, where are you getting your music from these days?
I traditionally iTunes. I more and more will use is it Amazon's service through Prime, but mostly through iTunes. I have an iPhone, so it makes it a lot easier.
So any Pandora, Spotify, or
Yeah, I definitely use Pandora a bit. Usually in the house, so we'll take it and throw it on a dock and stream Pandora. My wife loves it while we're cooking, so there's almost always music in our house at some point. And we have 4 kids, so when it's not some Disney song, it's Pandora.
Now, we'll assume your favorite place to see bands down here is, of course, Stubbs. But when you're not going to see bands at Stubbs, the venue, do you guys, the Gemalto guys and gals ever get out and go to any particular
you know,
venues
it's
here?
almost impossible to get the Gemalto people out when I am down here. So
I see
maybe
some of them giving you
maybe
an
now.
hairy eyeball. Yeah.
Now, I was going to say this is my perfect opportunity to say that when I'm down here, and maybe some of the folks that I work with at other companies would be more than happy to get me out so that I can experience more of Austin's culture and some shows. Any other time I get stuck at my hotel room.
Are you staying through next week for music, or
No.
do you have to leave?
No, they ship me out on Monday, so
All right. Yeah.
sadly. Next
Next
time,
year,
yeah. I don't know if I
spend a
could
couple
take
days afterwards.
if I could take the whole thing in one shot. That might be a
Take few
challenge for
days.
me.
Yeah. That's the best way to do it.
And there is another music festival that happens, so we don't want to, disparage South by Southwest at all. Great time, especially for the interactive piece. But there is something called ACL, Austin City Limits, in the fall. Usually we don't have to worry about rainy, cold weather like we're getting today.
Exactly.
Dave Matthews there.
We did see Dave Matthews there, yes.
Pretty good show.
All right. Well, I'll put if I can get some other people that I work with to take me out while I'm down, that would be a great opportunity.
We are setting you up.
That's perfect.
We're taking care of you.
We can write checks for all kinds of other people here.
So,
That's
all
great.
right, so you grew up in Western Mass.
Yep.
What gets you into kind of e-banking, security, that kind of realm?
Yeah, it was a pretty logical progression, actually. I started out as a bank teller, and then worked there through school. Eventually moved up through the ranks and ran basically everything that wasn't an actual branch. So all the online banking, all the anything at the ATM network, literally anything that was electronic. And then I made it through that process at a fairly young age. I was like 23, and you get to that point realizing you have to wait for somebody to die to be promoted.
Yeah.
So I got tired of that and moved over into the security side right afterwards. So
That should be a slogan, like an HR slogan for,
Yeah.
Shamit Bank. I won't throw anyone under the bus, but Shamit, remember them? Yeah.
I think we all do.
that is
That's old school.
That's an old
My
Massachusetts
first- my-
reference. Yeah.
When I first went to UMass,
Yeah,
I'm originally, went out there. Shamit was my bank.
That's right. That's old school.
Yeah, and I
Probably
think
had
you
a
had to-
passport too.
You had to like chisel your name into the
Yeah.
wall to actually get access to the money back then. But anyway, we're talking to Adam Dolby. He is the director of e-banking at Gemalto, in desperate need of going out to some of the music venues here.
It's a plea. It's a plea.
Lover of all barbecue. We are doing live from Stubbs, live at the Gemalto Lounge, which is truly live both here and on Ustream. You'll probably be some of you will be watching this edited up, and we'll wish that you were here. But thank you, Adam, Kyle, my
Thanks.
guest host,
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Aaron, and thank you, Gemalto.
If you're up in the
for-
413, let me know.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
And that's a wrap.